everyone, it's Rebecca with Beck's Fine Art, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to do an awesome colored pencil galaxy. So it's not as hard as you might think, especially if you have black paper. So let's go ahead and look at our supplies and get started. These are my set of Prisma color pencils that I just organized to be a little bit more color coordinated and rainbowy. It's not perfect, but they're gonna get messed up anyways. So you'll want some good colored pencils. Prismacolor I think works really well for stuff like this. Crayola is okay, but it does not blend as nicely as Prisma. And then there are obviously nicer colored pencils than Prisma, but this is gonna be more like your medium range colored pencils. Slight step up from Crayola, or probably what you worked with maybe in middle school or high school if you had art class. And over here, you're gonna want a small piece of black sketchbook paper. So I just cut this page into 4 pieces, and it's best to just start small. Don't overwhelm yourself because color pencils do take a lot of time. So working small for this is going to be in your best interest. And these are some other things you'll want. So you'll definitely need a pencil sharpener. This is awesome. It's a colorless color pencil, so this is used for blending. You don't have to have it though. You may want a regular pencil. I'm not going to use it, but you can definitely use this to help you outline your galaxy. White colored pencil, this you definitely want. So don't throw those away. And then this is a handy little tool that you put your colored pencil in when it gets, oops, a little bit too short. So you can see it will make it easy for me to draw. And then last, it's good to have a couple reference pictures. I have my space books all packed up right now, so I'm just going to use these drawings that I did a few months ago. I'm going to use this one as the reference. It's a little bit more simple. These were actually based off of some astrophotography images that I found, but it's based off of it. It's not exactly like it. All right, so you want to make sure that your color pencils are sharpened pretty good. And I'm going to start with white, as you can see here. And I'm just going to copy this same sort of shape where it's diagonal. So I'm actually going to start with a circle and probably make it like about the size of a penny, about. And you can see it's very light to start, so then after I get like kind of the basic shape, then I'll go back and really brighten it up in the center. And you want to create a gradient, so you want it to be super light in the center. All right, I don't know what was happening with that other white pencil, but it was a dud. So I'm going to make the center super bright by pressing the color pencil down a little bit harder, and then I will gradually fade it out so it's lighter around the edges where we'll be adding our second color. So now I'm going to go in with my next color, which is Sky Blue Light, or Light Sky Blue, don't know why they write it like that. And I'm going to start that at the edges of the white, and I will also fade that out. So it's not going to be a huge transition just because this is a super light blue, but I'm really going for a very bluish galaxy with this one, and if I add a yellow to the center, it might end up a little bit green. So I'm going to hold off on the yellow for now. We might add it a little bit later. So you can see I faded that really light blue out. Now I'm going to go in with my third color, which is True Blue, and I'm going to create this sort of fried egg shape that you see here. If you've watched any of my other spiral galaxy tutorials, you know I like to call this a fried egg because it looks like a fried egg. So what I'm going to do is draw a diagonal sort of halo around the sphere or circle, and I'm going to cover up the bottom most likely. And I'm doing this very lightly to start because that way if I don't like something, it's actually a lot easier to cover up. So don't press hard with your color pencils to begin with. You can 100% press harder later. So it sort of looks like a badly drawn Saturn right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm sort of going to continue those rings going outwards a little bit more. This is just going to be my base for the spiral galaxy. And you'll notice that it's wider at the ends and skinnier right here in the middle. So in other words, you don't want to do a circle. You want to make sure that it's getting skinnier around the center, wider at the ends. All right, so now that I've got those basic spirals or rings drawn out, now I'm going to go ahead and darken them up. And you really don't need to be too specific with this. I'm being very loose because that will actually give the galaxy a little bit more texture. And again, it's okay to cover up the bottom of your circle right here. We actually want to cover it up a little bit more, which I will continuously do throughout this video. So I'm sort of just scribbling these spirals to make them a little bit thicker. And then I may even just add some more streaks in between the rings. That way it's not too symmetrical. And just continue to press harder as you go. Alright, so here I've got my basic kind of scribbly rings for the galaxy. So you'll notice here I've actually got sort of this really light area behind the center of the galaxy, and that actually helps to pop this forward. So I'm going to add that, and then I did deciding I'm going to add some yellow to this because I think it needs a little bit more contrast. But I'm going to start with my really light blue, and I'm just going to create this really light streak right around the center, like it's coming out of the center and behind the center of the galaxy. And I'm going to taper that out kind of to be around it, so it's going to have this really nice glowing effect. So I'm really just lightening up the center area here to create that nice glow, and then I'll go in and add some yellow. Alright, so with the yellow, I'm going to be very gentle with it to start and just work it just around the very edge of the center. And you still want to create that gradient, so you gradually want it to fade out as it gets further away from the center. And then I'll press a little bit harder to get a little bit more glow around the edges. Alrighty, so I've got my yellow around the center of the galaxy, so now I'm going to go back with my light blue, and I'm really just going to kind of fill in all of these areas with the light blue. What you don't want is you don't want it to look like stripes. But then once we go in with the darker colors, that's really going to help to create a really nice contrast with this. So it might look a little funny to start. If you find that it's looking too much like stripes, then go in with your darker color and maybe add a few streaks to kind of mix it up, make it not so symmetrical. Alright, so you can see that I added just a little bit of yellow around here, as well as I filled this in with white. That's just going to help to kind of create a glowing effect that you want to come off of this. So really now it's just a lot of going back and forth with your two lighter, or your light blue and your dark blue, and trying to just get this to look not like it looks now. So you can see it kind of looks like stripes. So I'll start by kind of scribbling to get this nice sort of rocky texture with the darker blue, really getting that color to be nice and vibrant. And then I can go in with the light blue and punch it up to really create contrast, and also again to create that glowing technique. You can also just go right over the top of the darker color too. Just make sure your pencil is nice and sharp, and that'll help you create more of like these textured spirals, less straight and perfect. Like you can see in this one, it's got like a nice texture going around it. So that's what we're trying to create by going in with the lighter blue, kind of scribbling that in and blending it with the lighter, or with the darker blue. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. And then we'll go in with the darkest blue that I've decided on right now. I may add more colors, we'll see how it goes. And that'll help to create even more contrast, which is really going to make this pop. So now you can see we've got a lot more texture going on. So now I have some two darker blues. I've got an ultramarine and an indigo blue. And I'm going to use the ultramarine to create this outside halo effect that you see. And I'm going to start by just pressing it really lightly and gently blending it into the edges of those other colors. I'm going to do this all the way around, creating a nice glow. And then as I do that, so once I've gone around the whole thing, then I'll start to carry it out a little bit more, and I'll also push harder in the areas closer to the galaxy. That way it's a little bit more vibrant, and then it will fade out into the black of the paper. So now that I've got the start of this bluish glow around the outside, I can really start to add contrast by using my darker blue, and really there's no better way to describe it than just to kind of add these scribbles kind of all over the galaxy, and it really just helps to break up the spirals and just establish these different areas in it. Just try not to be too focused on it, just be nice and loose. It's not supposed to look perfect. And you'll want to do this all the way up through the center. So it's starting to come together a little bit more. So now I'm going to go in with my darkest blue, which is an indigo blue. And I'm going to do those same things I was doing with the other blue, where it's kind of just like these sort of squiggly, scribbly marks to add texture to the galaxy. And that's really going to help some areas pop. So I'm mostly going to be doing this in areas where I already have the dark blue, but if I feel like, you know, this area it's a little bit too light, then I might go ahead and just do it right over the top of that as well. Alrighty, so now we're getting close to being finished. So the last couple of things I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with adding some black details just to really pump up that contrast. I'm not going to add too much because obviously black can be overwhelming. I may add another color just to help break up the blue just a little bit, and then I'll go over how to do some stars. So for the black, I'm just going to pump up the contrast in some areas by only going over those spots that maybe I used the darkest blue on, just to get it to be a little bit darker. And this is really just optional. This is just if you want a little extra oomph in it. So this is where the white color pencil really comes in handy without changing the color as you're blending. So I really want this center part to look like it's glowing, so I'm actually going to press down pretty hard with the white colored pencil. And you'll see as I do that, it actually lightens up the blue in the background. So I'm really trying to create that nice glow and halo effect around like the horizon and edge of the galaxy, really make it pop out. So I'm pressing pretty hard, and you can even just press softer to start just to see how it looks, because that's actually really easy to go back over if you don't like it. And then you'll press harder as you decide you like it to really get that to blend and look a little less scribbly. So I'm going to continue to add a few more white highlights in this, and then we'll do our stars. Alrighty, so stars are super easy. You just want to make sure that you do a variety of them. Like you can see here, there's lots of little dots, there's lots of glowy stars, and then you can also add starbursts like this. So I'll show you how to do all of those. So for a glowy star, you're just going to start by pressing pretty hard for the center, and then just like we did for the center of the galaxy here, you gradually start to put less pressure on the pencil as you go further out until it basically fades into the background. Then obviously for the little specks, you're just pushing nice and hard. You can also just do like little dots like this. The more different the stars are, the more realistic it ends up looking. And then you can also add them up into the galaxy as well. They're going to obviously be the color of your galaxy, but it'll actually be a little bit more realistic looking that way. You can do some glowy stars on the edges of the galaxy too. And then I always think it looks nice if you do different colors of stars as well, because if you actually look at pictures of space, you won't just see one color. You'll actually see blues and yellows and reds. So I'm doing the same thing here with a glowy star, really pushing down hard for the center, and then fading it out for the edges. Variety of some yellow stars. And then if you want to do a starburst, you'll basically do a glowy star, so pushing hard for the center, fading it out around the edges, and then you're going to do these really light lines. Do it vertically. You really want it to taper off on the edges, and then you'll do it horizontally as well. And then I always think it looks best to add another cross section in the middle. These will not be as long as the other two. And then from there, you can really brighten it up. So you can make the center of those streaks brighter, so pressing down a little bit harder with your color pencil. Oh, sorry, I went off the page a little bit. And just playing around with it until you're happy with how that starburst comes out. You may even need to expand the center a little bit just to get it to look a little bit more put together. And then you've got a nice little starburst. So you want to add stars all over the whole thing, really do a variety of them, variety of colors, and then you'll actually be finished. Alrighty, so here is the finished color pencil galaxy. I thought it was cute with only one starburst, so that's why I didn't add any extras. But I hope everybody found this helpful. I'll probably do some more color pencil galaxies in the future. I really want to show you guys how to do space art with different techniques and different mediums, so be on the lookout for that. And as usual, make sure you like and subscribe. Go watch all my videos because I'm trying to get my watch hours up, and I'll see you next time.